Now, I've not done this for a little while, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm a bit rusty. As a word of advice, fellas, never say that to a girl who's lying naked in your bed. It tends to kill the mood. I say that more as a fantasy than a reflection on reality. It's been quite a long time since I've had the pleasure of a woman's company in that situation. You see, I'm looking for a woman who's erudite, sociable, intelligent, funny, good looking. Basically someone who's faggotronic. And the thing is, I'm 25 years old and I'm still a student. And that's not necessarily a winning combination. If you imagine the situation, I'm in a bar and I go up to a woman and I say, "Polar bear." "You what?" "It's a good icebreaker. My name's Stephen, nice to meet you." And we're starting to have a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of conversation, if you will. And I ask her some questions and she answers them. And I listen to the answers and I respond, indicating that I've listened to the answers. And then she turns to me and she says, "Stephen, what do you do?" And I say, "I'm a student." And she hears, "The next round's on you." Now every so often there's a woman who falls for this trick and she agrees to the deal that I've proposed. And she asks me a follow-up question. "So what do you study?" Now, given the theme of this evening, you're probably expecting me to say that I'm a quantum physicist. I'm not a quantum physicist, I'm a historian. I don't really, if truth be told, know what the word quantum means. It strikes me as one of those words that people use to suggest that they're more intelligent than they actually are. It would be a little bit like me not calling myself a historian, but calling myself a chronologist. Or a temporal investigator. So, you know, as I tell her that I'm a historian, I tell her I'm a historian, I do find it difficult to have conversations with women in bars. It's not because I'm a shy, retiring type. It's because of an unexpected issue of being a student of the arts. You guys probably have no idea what I do on a day-to-day basis. You probably imagine that I wake up about 11 o'clock in the morning, masturbate. I say you imagine this, I don't use that word literally. Finally get out of bed about 12:30, having read the sports news and have me lunch. And I then begin work at about 2 p.m, finish in time to be in the pub for 7:30. And sort of 6 days out of 7, that probably is my daily routine. But the thing is, I do spend quite a lot of time in libraries. Now, don't know if you've ever been in a library, but a library is a place of silence. And if you spend a lot of time in libraries, you kind of forget how to talk. So I might see an acquaintance on the street, and they'll be walking towards me, and I'll walk towards them like this with one foot in front of the other, as most people do. And I'll say, "Hello mate, how are you?" Because I'm adjusted to the library way of speaking. And sometimes I might realise that I'm in the library frame of mind, so I'll walk towards them. And I'll say, "Hello mate, how are you?" Now I don't know if you've ever instigated a conversation with either of these two polarities. But if you do choose to instigate a conversation with one of those two methods of speaking, you'll find that it's a short conversation. And you therefore fall into an ever-decreasing spiral of social incapability. And that means talking to people in a bar is a difficult thing for me to do. But you know, sometimes I'll find a girl who'll give me a chance. And she'll say to me, "Go on Stephen, what do you study?" And I'll take a deep breath and I'll say, "I study ancient Persian kings." Now those 3 words are a big turn-off to anybody, never mind the woman I'm trying to chat up. You hear the word ancient and you think it's not relevant. You hear the word Persia and you think, where the fuck is that? The answer is, it's Iran. And you hear the word kings and you think he's probably a misogynistic Tory. I'm going to stay well clear of that bastard. Sometimes, every so often, we'll get beyond this hurdle and just say, go on, you know, what are ancient Persian kings like? And I'll say to them, well, ancient Persian kings are a little bit like teenage boys on a first date. They do as much as they can get away with. They'll keep pushing boundaries until they're firmly told, no, keep your hands to yourself. Now, if that crass analogy's not earned me a slap, the unfortunate participant in this conversation might say to me, so how do you research ancient Persia? And it's a difficult thing to do, because most societies in the past that we know anything about have left us what we call narrative history. Somebody's written down, this happened, then this happened. Not in ancient Persia. To get narrative history about ancient Persia, we have to read things written by the Greeks. Now, Persia invaded Greece 2 or 3 times. So asking the Greeks what they think about Persia is a little bit like asking the Daily Mail what they think about immigration. I felt this was probably a safe audience to do that joke. So, you know, I can't use narrative history. So what I use is, mainly, I use these things called reliefs. Now, reliefs are basically pictures carved into walls, which makes moving house difficult in ancient Persia, because you've got to convince the people who are looking around your house that that relief is a relief that's going to stay above your fireplace. How do you look at a relief? Well, I look at a relief, and I say, this lad here, he's the biggest, and he's wearing a crown. He's probably the king. These fellas here, they're all littler than him. They're probably the subjects. Oh, but hang on. All these subjects, they're dressed differently. Well, they're probably from different parts of the empire. And at this juncture, I feel very pleased with myself and my routine. Because the thing is, those things I've just told you, that's high-level research. Some of that is earth-shattering. But when you tell that kind of material in a Geordie accent, it doesn't sound earth-shattering. It sounds fucking simplistic, doesn't it? So I find it difficult to chat up women using my research, you know? And I say that's how I research ancient Persia, you know, using the reliefs and things. Often, days when I cannot be bothered to get out of bed, I use the internet and I Google ancient Persia. Now, my Facebook status says that I'm single. Now, when you combine that with Google searches about Iran, you start getting targeted advertising. You start getting targeted advertising for www.singlemuslim.com. When I'm having this conversation in a bar, I tend not to bring up the dating websites with the individual I'm going in, because it makes you sound a little bit desperate. You're probably all wondering actually why I'm framing this whole dialogue in the context of a conversation with an imaginary person. Now, part of it is because this is my tribute to Plato's Socratic dialogues. Some of you might be thinking that this mysterious woman is a useful structural device to tie together some wildly disparate material which would otherwise ultimately fail to convince you of a combined and holistic set. But that would be to give me far too much credit. You see, the reason I've invented this mysterious woman, and I've taken you through all the different problems I have in interacting with women, is that all of the women in the audience have hopefully projected themselves into this mysterious one. And if any of them are still with me at this moment in time, perhaps they will join me at the bar afterwards and buy me that drink that I require. I should warn you, however, that anyone who does want to talk to me afterwards, you've got some difficult shoes to fill, because my ex-girlfriend, you know, I'm well and truly over it. You know, it's been a year, 3 months, 3 weeks, 2 days and a couple of hours, and I'm well and truly over it. But she's an absolutely beautiful girl, and you know, she's a great person, and she's really good looking, and I'd go as far as to say that she's one of the best looking women that I've ever met, and that she's got the face of a divine being. Ganesh. And on that absolutely not bitter note, I would close. I've been Stephen Harrison. Thank you very much.